2016 is off to a busy start with headline-grabbing exchange mergers and acquisitions, an ongoing focus on regulation, and the continued search for growth. John Lothian News sat down with key exchange executives to get their thoughts on the changing landscape and what's on their priority lists for the rest of the year.
To be the Asia market access multi-asset platform, key will be to focus around the different multiple asset classes that we have, but then also premise that on a country strategy. Because for investors or participants in Asia, typically it will always be a top-down macro view followed by a country selection and then asset classes selection to express that view, and then maybe down to stock picking. And if you look at where we have announced broadening our China suite of products with MSCI China, furthering our inroads into accessing India with the 4 subsector indices that we've announced will launch on the back of a very successful Nifty index contracts that we have over the last 18 months. It's probably easy to think about the landscape as a barbell. On the one hand, on the one side, you have exchanges that have contracts that have huge volumes, 5-10 million contracts, and I think that continue to exist. You could get bigger, you could have more liquidity. On the other barbell, on the other side, you could have national exchanges, which are important catalysts to capital market development of each country. But I think within that, there's a third pillar, which is where SGX comes into play. We position ourselves as a multi-asset accessing Asia exchange, accessing Asia kind of platform. We are in the midst of a capacity upgrade for our derivatives trading engine. So we're increasing capacity from roughly 3 million ADV to 10 million ADV. We're also moving towards increasingly capability to be able to trade 24 hours and also developing protocols that will help investors plug into our system without having to reconfigure their system on their end. So I think that works very well. But I think more importantly, or equally importantly, is also in the context of Asia, there's still a market for OTC transactions. And there, I think the IDBs play a very important role. And in our technology upgrade, we're also designing a process that will make the workflow a lot simpler and easier for IDBs, and I think we're unique in that space. The broad environment in some ways will be uncertain. That said, I'm optimistic given just the growth opportunities that we see for SGX in Asia, and despite the broad macro uncertainty, Asia is still a growth region.